Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Shelly and today I'm going to be talking about the play Oedipus the King by Sophocles, and it is translated by the wonderful poet Robert Fagles. I am so excited to discuss this play with you because it was not what I expected in the least. So if you like this kind of thing, if you enjoy the ancients or you're looking to get into them, I would encourage you to subscribe and stick around. Please, if you've read this play, can you tell me what you thought of it in the comments down below? I would love to know because this was a weird one for me. All right, so let's just go ahead and get into the meat of this video. Okay, so I am going to talk about this play as best as I can and talk about why it was so surprising to me. So I know my background knowledge about Oedipus, besides reading Antigone, which is the first play written in this cycle, but often placed last in the reading, although in this version it's placed first. So I read Antigone, who is the daughter of Oedipus. And so I got a little bit of background through her story, but I hadn't yet met Oedipus himself. And so what I know about Oedipus, or the Oedipus complex, is that he is the man who killed his father and slept with his mother. That is like what I know about Oedipus. And so here I am diving into his story with Oedipus the King, and it was very, very different than I expected. So here's what happens. We're in the city of Theban, and there is sickness going around. There is sickness is spreading. It seems almost like this feeling of a curse is coming over this city. And of course, its leaders, Oedipus being the king of this city, they're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Why are the gods looking down on us so poorly? Like, what is happening? And we find out pretty quickly that it is because Laius, is that right? Why do I doubt myself? It is because Laius, the previous king, was killed. And so this almost like curse-like feeling over this city is going to continue until the person who killed Laius is banished from the city. And so immediately Oedipus and Creon, and they're trying to figure out, well, Oedipus especially is like, who the heck killed Laius? And what is happening? Let's find the guy. If he turns himself in, we will we'll banish him with his body. We'll banish him alive, rather than killing him and taking his body out of the city. So from my perspective as a reader, and who didn't have a lot of background information except for what I just shared with you, I was like, ooh, a mystery. Who killed Laius? And so anyways, they're trying to figure it out. I'm trying to follow the book. So what happens is that as they're trying to figure out who killed the previous king, they decide to bring in a blind prophet, and his name is Tiresias. And Tiresias is like, are you sure you want me to tell you who killed Laius? Speak now or forever hold your peace, because you are not going to like what I'm going to say. And so, Oedipus is like, tell me what is happening. Who killed this guy? How do we get rid of this sickness, this darkness over the city? And Tiresias is like, look, man, you killed him, Oedipus. Oedipus is like, outrage. Half of this play, I was feeling like I was reading the ravings of a madman, but he was outraged, how dare you say I killed Laius? Laius, they're just like, oh my gosh, no, this is not happening. And of course, Tiresias is like, I tried to warn you, but I'm telling you that you killed him. This whole time, I got the sense that I didn't know who was telling the truth. There is this battle of, did Oedipus kill Laius? And who, did he actually do it? Oedipus is denying that he killed Laius. And then through some events, you find out that there was a kerfuffle, probably a bit more of a kerfuffle that happened at the crossroads of a very specific place. And only one servant got away, and that servant comes to report what happened that night. And so it is pieced together that Oedipus did indeed kill Laius. And so you're kind of like, whoa. Here it's like Oedipus was lying to himself this whole time about who killed this previous king. And then, as there is some discussion going on, there is some news that Oedipus's father, who is from Corinth, Oedipus's father, who is from Corinth, that we find out that his father has died. And Oedipus is so relieved because it is revealed, at least to me, that he has been carrying around this prophecy, this foretelling that he was going to kill his father and marry his mother. And so when his father dies, Oedipus is immediately relieved in a lot of ways because he was like, the prophecy didn't come true. Then you find out that Oedipus left Corinth because he didn't want to kill his father, which I thought was very revealing about his character, that he was trying to be a good guy and that he loved his father and didn't want to, like, in any way slay him or cause his death. And then he still comes back around and blames himself, saying that maybe it was because I left the land of my father that he died of grief. So maybe in a roundabout way, I still killed him, which I was like, wow, way to blame yourself. And so at this time, Jostica, who is his wife, swoops in and she is trying to comfort her husband, saying, oh, those old prophecies, those are so passé. We've moved beyond them. What do they know? That is like the old ways. And then come to find out, like the mic drop moment is that someone, I forget who, it might have just been a messenger, who says, wait a second. That wasn't your true father, Oedipus. That is not your true father, and your mother in Corinth is not your true mother. And Oedipus is like, whoa, what? What? So it's like he left the land for which he grew up in Corinth, and he doesn't even want to return home for fear that he will marry his mother, that this prophecy will somehow still come true. And then he finds out that those weren't his true mother and father. And then, oh my gosh, it's just like the twists and turns in this you could not predict at all. So then you find out that actually Laius had a son, and he and his wife knew about the prophecy that he would be slain by his own son, and that they would take Laius's wife up as Laius's son. Laius's son would take his wife up as a wife himself. So, the same prophecy that Oedipus has been living with his whole life. And then Jostica, she turns pale, at least in my mind, she turns pale, she starts to freak out, and she's like, wait, what? My son died when he was only a few days old. There's no way that this prophecy could have come true. And then we find out that actually the person, I think it was a shepherd, that was supposed to dispose of the baby's body, to what he was supposed to do was pierce the child's feet, hang him, put a rope through his feet, and hang him from a tree until the wolves or the animals come eat the child. But he couldn't do that. He didn't want to do that. He couldn't bear to have a child be just left for dead. And so he ends up giving the child to his adoptive parents, and the child grows up with his adopted parents in Corinth, still believing in this prophecy and that his parents of Corinth, that he was going to kill his father and marry that mother. But really the mother, it's a mother he didn't know and a father he didn't know. So we find out that Oedipus did indeed kill his father. And then Jostica is freaking out because Laius is her former husband. They were the ones that left the baby out, or was going to have the baby killed in order for this prophecy not to be true. And she did indeed marry her son, Oedipus, whom she previously tried to kill, and has bore 4 children with him. Now, it was just like no one could predict the twists and turns of this story, including myself. I was like, here I was thinking like, ooh, I wonder who's lying, and it's like nobody was lying. Oedipus was reacting to Laius's death and trying to find his killer, not knowing that he was the one that killed Laius. And he was like carrying around this prophecy unknowingly that he had already fulfilled it. And so it was just like this uncovering of the truth that was like so outlandish and wild. It was a wild ride, y'all. Well, anyways, just the way this story ends in a weird way is that Jostica, she takes her own life because she's so disturbed and distraught by the news. And then Oedipus takes, when he sees her body, he takes her brooches, which have these long pins on them, and gouges out his own eyes, and then leaves Theban, which is just so strange. And then I was realizing I have read a book. I'm gonna first, here's a spoiler to Flannery O'Connor if y'all are like don't want to read a certain book, Wise Blood. So anyways, I'm gonna put my hand down when the spoiler is over. But at the end of Wise Blood, the main character gouges out his eyes, and I remember finding that so disturbing when I read it. And I was like, that is just such a wild turn. Now, little did I know that Flannery O'Connor was just borrowing quite literally from Oedipus the king, for that is what he did in his grief and in his turmoil. Although the main character of her, I forget his name, but the main character of her story does it for like different reasons, but I didn't know that she was like referencing the Greeks in that action. So anyways, it was such a wild play. And here as a reader, this is how I took it. I found it a bit of a mystery. It was definitely like mysterious, like the question being who killed Laius. And then I went down this trail of like who's lying. Is Creon lying? Are the prophets lying? Is Jostica lying? And then, as you whittle down and go through this path of the story, you realize that nobody was lying. Everybody was acting on the truth that they knew at the time. And they were doing what they thought was best with the truth that they had, or the parts of the story that they had and that they believed in. And there was no deception going on. And so it just ended up being really strange, but also weirdly like a breath of fresh air, because it read like a murder mystery. I mean, it was a murder mystery, at least to me. And I can't wait to read more. And there is, I feel, like a whole backstory about Oedipus that I still don't know. Like, how did he come to marry Jostica? And how, like, what was their story before we entered this accursed city at the time of Theban? So, I'm excited to continue. It was just it was so strange. And now I'm wondering, like, what does the Oedipus complex even mean? Does it mean somebody who is lying to themselves? I don't know. Like, does it mean somebody who is acting upon a truth that they believe at the time that ends up being a lie, or a truth that wasn't quite the truth? Because the prophecy was real, he was just acting on information that he didn't realize was untrue. I don't know. It's so strange. So what did you make of this? I would love to know. It was such a wild ride. I loved it. Like, I really loved it. So great. But yeah, that's it for me. So thank you so much for watching and listening to the how apt. I felt like Oedipus was like, I was reading the ramblings of a madman, and now I feel like a mad woman rambling about Oedipus. So how apt, that's how I feel. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye.